So welcome to a new series of videos which are going to be entitled Quick Licks, and just as they sound, they're going to be short, bite-sized pieces of bass playing that it's not worth me transcribing the entire tune, but there might be a riff or a lick or a fill, whatever, that has caught my ear and I feel is worth sharing because it has some sort of musical merit. So we're going to start off with a bit of Joe Dart, who is obviously extremely popular at the moment, brought to prominence by Wolfpack, but this is one of his lines on the Fearless Flyers' new release, which is called Bicentennial. Here's how it sounds. And here's the line played up to tempo with the track. Now, the thing that first attracted me to Bicentennial is it neatly encapsulates a lot of conventions of both songwriting and classic funk bass playing in a very short, succinct 4-bar passage. So the main thing is it's a 1-chord vamp, it's a 1-chord dominant 7th funk vamp. So the harmony here is kind of just D7, or D7 with a sharp 9 to be more specific. So it kind of sounds like this, which is a really horrible sound. Let's try and make that better. Marginally less offensive, but still a very, very tense chord, because you've got the natural tension in a dominant chord anyway, between the F sharp and the C, the major third and the flat 7. You've also got both the major third, F natural, and then the sharp 9, which we should call E sharp really, but no one likes to think of E sharp, so we're going to call it F natural. So you've got both of those notes in the same chord. Really, really tense. Obviously Hendrix was a massive fan of that sound, and he used that in a bunch of his tunes. So we're exploiting the fact that dominant chords can take a lot of abuse, harmonically speaking. They can basically take any tension or extension if your ears are used to the sound. The main trick that loads of people use, and this is used in hundreds and hundreds of tunes, is this trick of exploiting that duality between the major third and the minor third, or sharp 9. Minor thirds and sharp 9, same sound, different name. So we've got our F natural, and we're sort of sliding, shaking into the F sharp and back again. There we go. That sort of sound, or that trick, that shake, is really common, almost funk bass cliche. If you listen to Paul Jackson playing with the Headhunters, or Robert Wilson with the Gap Band, you get this sort of sound all the time. Michelle Ndegeocello cello is the undisputed queen of these as well. She's built most of her career on doing those things in a bunch of her signature grooves, and it's a great way of adding a little bit of grease and sort of authentic funkiness to your bass line. So it's definitely something that's worth pursuing. It's kind of a whole arm movement, and you have to forget any sort of semblance of finesse or cleanliness in your line. You just have to play it like you mean it, and really get that sort of a bit of grease, a bit of fret noise, a bit of dirt into your playing. So that's the first bar of the tune. And the second bar is clever use of space. So first bar, second bar, and there's some space which you don't expect. It's much more effective doing it that way than just playing the first bar 2 times in a row, sort of verbatim, and that hooks the listener in. In bar 4 of the transcription is a clever little rhythmic displacement idea, which uses a line that is 5/16 notes long, which means that when it's repeated back to back, it gets progressively further away from the downbeat, and it sounds like this. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's a little bit trickier because we're using fourths all the time, and fourths are a horribly awkward thing to play on a bass, but they crop up in loads and loads of tunes. I've lost count of the number of times I've had to go and have some control over those two digits. Otherwise, you get this horrible muddy sound where the notes bleed into each other. So that's something that's really worth practicing, that's worth honing in on and making sure that you can get a nice clean sound between 2 or even 3 adjacent strings, because sometimes that crops up where you have to play 2 or 3 fourths stacked on top of each other in a row, and it's a bit of a challenge if you haven't practiced it regularly. The last time through the riff, so the third time round, there's a variation in the second bar which doesn't fit under the hands particularly comfortably because it's a chromatic descending line, and again, chromatic things don't fit in one position, so there's a bit of a challenge there, and here we're going to shift. So we get, so this line we're jumping up to the G and then we're moving chromatically down all the way to D. So I'm using one finger per fret in the lowest part of the bass, which is something that I generally tell people to avoid unless it's absolutely necessary. Here it's the only way to play the line with the right sound, so that's what we're going to do. This sort of thing, shifting seamlessly without any noise and trying not to break the note too much, is something that I've spent a lot of time working on, and I would definitely advocate that you do too if you haven't already. It works in reverse the same way, so if I come up from D, you can get that. Sounds like I need to practice it a little bit more often, but having that ability to shift almost seamlessly, again, is worth investing your time in. So there you have it, Joe Dart's funky little riff on the Fearless Flyers Bicentennial. Go get it.